Well, if you're an avid viewer of Oklahoma gardening, you know we don't readily advocate putting screws or eye hooks in trees, especially newly planted trees. But of course, there's always exceptions to the rule, and today we're going to show you some of those exceptions and talk about some of them. And joining me is a gentleman from Tulsa, Mr. Ken Preaus, and Ken has his business called Preaus Landscape of Tulsa. Hi, Ken. Welcome to Oklahoma Gardening.
Good to see you.
Now, why would there be exceptions, or why would we need to drill holes and put hooks and bolts and various things in trees? What would be the reasoning for that?
Well, Steve, sometimes trees have faulty structural makeups, and in this case, we've got an old American elm that simply has been poorly maintained over the years, and we're trying to do everything we can to prolong it for the customer.
So what we're talking about then is branch angles that are very weak that could structurally fall and maybe damage their home or hurt someone, obviously.
Right.
So when we've talked about on the show previously, you need to start training trees when they're young. This is a case in point right here.
Absolutely.
Now, in this particular home here in Tulsa too, they've planted a smaller tree when this one eventually goes, which is a good idea.
Right.
But don't we have some bad angles right there to start with again too, right?
Chinese pistache typically is structured similarly to the problem tree that we have here. So yes, we'll need to start training that tree, taking care of those problems now before it's a real problem later.
Okay. Well, Ken, I guess we've got all the tools and everything to get going on it. Let's take some time now to see how you're actually going to put this together. Well, Ken, let's talk about what you're going to do. And I understand there's two main categories. One is bracing and one is cabling. For bracing, this is one of the bolts, I guess, you're going to put in there. Tell us how this works.
Steve, this is 5/8 inch all thread material that we like to use because we never know beforehand the length of material that we will need. So we cut these into 30, 36 inch length usually, and we'll use these depending on the size of the tree and the branch and cut them to fit.
So you're actually drilled a hole and you're going to insert that to hold the two branches together to try to keep it from splitting.
This is no fix-all. We'll combine this with our flexible cabling at the top, but yes, it can be helpful, especially for problem trees like Bradford pear.
Okay. Now the other common practice is called cabling, and you're also going to do that on this same tree.
That's correct.
Tell us about cabling.
In this case, Steve, we have several leaders that are very prone to breakage, and rather than duplicate many lines and a lot of hardware up top, we're going to do what is called a hub and spoke system. We'll have one ring actually in midair with 3 cables attached accordingly, and it provides a very, very effective way to cable a tree and kind of reduce the hardware needed.
So the cables then go to the different branches to try to hold them, but now there's still some movement, right?
That's correct. We do not cable to the point that we completely support each branch. We cable, especially when a deciduous tree is still dormant without its leaves. We'll try to cable a little loosely, and once the leaves come on, it'll take that slack up, and it moves as a unit.
Ken, obviously a task like this with all the equipment we're seeing and some of the tools is not just a job for any person. I guess you've had some particular training, right?
Right. We are certified arborists, ISA certified arborists, and cabling and bracing, which we're doing today, is one of those areas that we're trained in.
Now, what does ISA stand for, so the viewers would know?
It's the International Society of Arboriculture. It's one of the main trade associations for our type of work.
Right. So you've really gone through some technical training. Would you have to pass an exam as well?
Right. There is an extensive test that you have to pass, and I believe about 10 areas of study involved in it.
And then, of course, years of experience and a degree in horticulture.
Well, as you well know, we sat through a class or two together at OSU, and we've been in this for 17 years now.
Right. Well, in addition to bracing and cabling this elm tree to try to prolong its life, Ken and his brother Bill and their crew also came out a couple of times to actually prune the tree with some selective pruning to lighten the load. And so that's also a very big part of this process. So obviously, when you hire someone to do this type of work, not only do you want to look for a professional that is preferably certified, but also someone who has experience in safely climbing trees. Well, recently we met with a person with quite the tree climbing background. As a matter of fact, he is the Midwest Region Tree Climbing Jamboree winner. Mr. Gary Harkleroad, who is employed with Asplund of Oklahoma City, gives us some pointers on what to look for when hiring a professional to climb in your trees.
I got interested in climbing trees. It goes back to when I was a kid, about 11 years old. I lived by a big park such as this, and I always watched the groundskeepers and stuff taking care of the trees and working aloft. And it kind of interested me, and then when I moved to Oklahoma, it just caught in. There was a Asplund yard there close to the house. I tried it, and I've been there 11 years now. Something to keep in mind is when you're hiring an arborist is make sure that they aren't going to damage the tree more than help it. Using cambium savers, which keeps your rope from having a lot of friction on the tree. Spikes, they're really fading away quick unless they're going to completely remove the tree. Just entries into the tree is real important. You know, there's ways to get in there without hurting the tree. At all times that I'm up here, have you noticed, I've got a fall protection device. If I was to slip, lose my footing, it'd be a very minimum drop. I'm always protected from going very far at all. As I work the tree, as you can see, it's pretty easy to move around. Can get just about anywhere you want to go. Work any branch that you really want to. A little slick this morning. If you notice, I got a real soft rubber boot on, keep from hurting the tree. For a homeowner picking an arborist, the most you want to watch for is ask them how much experience they have, what kind of protection they're going to have for the tree. You know, you can have somebody come in and damage a tree a lot more than helping it. I would say the main deal would be how much experience, and kind of have them talk you through what they plan on doing. Another important part of it is, do they have insurance? Are they going to be liable for an accident, whether it be the house themselves or an onlooker? You know, you get a lot of people that want to stop and watch. It's pretty interesting work. The Tree Climbers Jamboree is sponsored by the ISA, which is the International Society of Arboriculture. It's worldwide. Each year they have a competition where a lot of the guys, well, to qualify to make it to the World Finals, you have to win your local jamboree. Once we get together, there's 4 events that we compete in. There's a speed climb, aerial rescue, a work climb, and then a throw line. My favorite is the speed climb, and it's a 40-foot climb, which you got a fall protection at all times, and you just, as fast as you can, body thrust up that 40-foot and ring a bell, and then you come back down.
Well, now how's that for tree climbing? Gary tells me his speed record is actually 40 feet in 8 seconds. So as you can see, proper cabling, bracing, and climbing is something not every homeowner should try. It takes a lot of experience and know-how to do the job right and ensure safety to the workers and the tree. So do your homework, ask lots of questions, and make sure the company has insurance before having any tree work done in your landscape.